The moment my aunt opened the door, I already understood. She didn't even try to hide the smirk. "We don't want you here," she said, arms folded like a final judgment. "Go ruin someone else's celebration." Behind her the house looked warm and cozy. Golden lights were hung across the ceiling. Laughter echoed from the dining room. My family, my blood. Plates stacked high, wine glasses lifted. I stood still on the porch, holding a bottle of wine and a pie I had baked from scratch. I gave a single nod. Understood. Then I turned and stepped into the cold. 10 minutes later my father rushed through that same door, calling my name, like a man waking from a deep sleep. By then it was already too late. 3 years ago I was the cherished niece. After my mother passed away, Aunt Carol said I was like a daughter to her. I trusted her. Every Thanksgiving, Christmas, Sunday dinner I was there. Brought homemade meals, cleaned up, while everyone else watched football, laughed at Uncle Ray's old jokes. When I got a job at a nearby nonprofit and started freelancing on the side, I volunteered to design a website for the family business Carol's Catering at No. She adored the idea. "You've always been the clever one," she said, placing her cold fingers on my cheek. "You're going to make us all proud." I should have noticed the change when I asked about becoming a partner. I smiled, but the smile didn't reach her eyes. "Let's discuss that in a year, sweetie." They discussed it without me. 6 months later, the business had a new brand, new website, new logo, new partner. My cousin Rachel, whose only qualification was a popular Instagram profile and a fake marketing degree. No one informed me. Found out on Facebook. Still, I accepted it. Kept showing up. I continued helping. I wanted to believe it was a mistake, not a message. But the signs kept appearing. My calls were ignored. Invitations stopped coming. When Grandma's 80th birthday passed and I saw the photos online, everyone was there but me. I began to understand. They weren't forgetting me. They were removing me on purpose. The final cut came 2 weeks before Christmas. I was dropping off some gingerbread cookies for my dad at his workplace. He's a quiet man, not the emotional kind, but he hugged me a little longer than usual. He told me, "Don't let them bring you down. Some people confuse kindness with weakness." I didn't understand what he meant until I noticed an envelope partly hidden in his desk drawer. An invitation. Carol's annual Christmas Eve dinner. Custom printed with golden writing. RSVP required. I never received one. That's when my anger faded and clarity came over me. I didn't cry. Not anymore. I stopped being the girl who begged for pieces of love from people, who only smiled when they needed something, became someone else. See, pain sharpens you. You either break or you cut back. Began paying attention. Carol had no idea I still had admin access to the catering website, or that I could view every client message, every bill, every event booking. I started noticing patterns. Every Thursday night she logged in from her iPad at 9:37 p.m. on the dot. Every Monday Rachel sent out press releases, copied, by the way, from a public PR template site. I saved everything quietly. I reached out to a few vendors I had worked with before, graphic designers, photographers, and told them I was helping a friend investigate a rebranding problem. Each one confirmed it. Carol used my designs, my written content, my website layout without my permission. Never gave me credit. It was theft. Recorded, time-stamped, undeniable. Now I had power. Step 1: cut off the lifeline. I contacted their 3 biggest clients: the luxury hotel, the wedding venue, and the upscale retirement community, which had signed contracts based on my original work, my website, my brand concept. I calmly and legally informed them that I had never given anyone permission to use my intellectual property. Attach a formal cease and desist notice. 2 of them pulled out immediately. Step 2: let them feel the pressure. Waited. On Christmas Eve I drove to their house at exactly 6:02 p.m., just as dinner would be starting, just to eat. Carol opened the door like I was the Grinch. "We don't want you here," he snapped. "Go ruin someone else's holiday." He nodded. Understood. 10 minutes later I stood at the end of the street, watching from my car when my dad came rushing down the driveway, coat half on, his voice shaking with panic. He had just discovered what I had done. No, what they had done. He had read the cease and desist I had BCC'd to his law firm, the firm he co-founded 20 years ago, the same firm Carol somehow forgot he co-owned. He wasn't just angry, he was furious with them. 1 week later, Carol was served. Intellectual property theft, financial damages, misrepresentation, unauthorized use of design work, and violation of a verbal agreement. My father filed the case himself. He also withdrew all financial support from their company. He froze the shared account that Grandma had created for family ventures. Carol pleaded with him not to. "It was just a misunderstanding," she cried. During the hearing, "No," he said, voice cold as ice. "It was betrayal." Rachel tried to pretend she didn't know. She claimed she thought everything was approved. But I had printed the Slack messages she sent calling me a dumb doormat. Let the silence speak for itself. In the end, they lost both the business and the house. It turned out Carol had been quietly taking money from the accounts too. I didn't smile when I saw the for sale sign go up. I didn't have to. Real strength doesn't brag. Simply walks away. I spent Christmas Day with my dad, just the two of us. He made hot cocoa and told me he was proud of how I handled everything, said I was my mother's daughter through and through. I didn't say much. I just let the warmth from the mug soak into my hands. There was a time when I would have begged them to love me, to explain, to say sorry, to welcome me back in. But that version of me was left behind on their doorstep. Now I don't need a seat at their table. I've built my own. And next Christmas, they'll be the ones standing outside, looking in.